ถ้ากำลังรับฟังสถานีวิทยุมหาวิทยาลัยประชาชนทำการกระจายเสียงจากนครเบอร์คลีย์มลรัฐแคลิฟอร์เนียประเทศสหรัฐอเมริกาต่อจากนี้ไปขอเชิญท่านรับฟังรายการ The Eye Opener ดำเนินรายการโดยอาจารย์เอมิเลียดร.เพียงดินและแขกรับเชิญYou can ring my bell. Good morning, America. Good afternoon, Europe, and good evening, Thailand. Welcome back to the Eye Opener, a discussion program broadcast from the Thai People's Revolutionary University for Democracy, based in Berkeley, California, the United States of America. Today, with us, as usual, we will have Ajahn Emilio Esteban, and then we have our team of friends and colleagues from LA, and hopefully there'll be other people joining us through CBox at the university's front page and at Nopashaw USA. Already in live with us here, at least we have a couple other people which I will introduce and ask them to introduce themselves in a minute. Here we go.
Hello.
Oh, good morning. Good afternoon, Ajahn Emilio.
Good afternoon.
Welcome back.
Are we on air?
Yes, we are right now.
All right. Well, a big sawadee up to everybody in Thailand and everybody around the world who's listening to the Eye Opener. A very big hello to everybody.
Hello. And
I see we've got an awful lot of people. Let me just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people. Is that right, Doctor?
Yes, but I'm not sure if all of them will be able to join us, but I have invited them all. See who is in here already. Let's see. Kun John from LA, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good morning.
Oh, wonderful. Good morning, Kun John. Wonderful. And
hello, John.
Hello, Ajahn Emilio. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I haven't been very well this week, actually. I've been quite ill, but I'm fully recovered now.
Oh, good to hear that, Dr. Ajahn. Very good to hear that. I guess we have Kun Su as well, being online right now. Maybe we probably have 4. Kun Su, are you there?
Yes, good morning, Ajahn Emilio.
Hello,
I'm
Kun
glad
Su.
to have a chance to talk to you. Hi.
Hello, it's a real pleasure for all of us. Thank you for attending the program.
I'm so excited because I've been on air with you.
Oh, well, I'll let you into the secret. I'm very excited too. Kun Su, is my fire with us?
Yes.
Okay. Is that right, Doctor? Is my
fire is not on yet. The call failed.
Oh no! What a pity.
And also,
okay, well, maybe she can come later.
Yes, we might be having Victor, but it looks like the line is busy right now.
Oh, okay.
But as usual,
okay.
I guess you can pump us up with some sort of news to stimulate our thinking for the week, and then we'll discuss. How about that?
Fine. Yeah, fine.
Okay. I mean, I look forward to the kind of news and information you want to inject into this discussion table.
Well, I think there are only 3 things that we want to talk about today, unless somebody else wants to talk about something. I think the program is 2 hours long, isn't it? So we should have enough. I think we should have enough time to look at all the topics. But essentially, I thought maybe we could look at. Well, the important topic, which is the Constitutional Court crisis, this happening in Thailand. I think that's probably the most important thing that people want to know about. The other subject is the conference which was held yesterday, which I thought was quite interesting. It was called Less Majesty, Rhetoric and Dissent, and then it had another title. I think it was Where To with Less Majesty Now. I thought we could look at that a little bit. People could tell me what they thought about it. And the other thing, of course, was I've forgotten now what the other topic was. Of course, the anniversary. Today is the 9th of June, isn't it? The 9th of June. And, of course, we all know what happened on the 9th of June in 1946. It is, of course, the anniversary of the death of Ananda Maidol. So I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about that. What do you think?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds good, doesn't it, John?
Well, that sounds good. I just watching the YouTube for the first time. The King Kumipon give interview to the BBC. Yes. I just see him for the first time when he was young. We never see him. How he looked like when he was young. Actually,
you've never seen him? Yeah. I see.
When he speaking in English, we never see that before. Mostly we see him in the pictures. It's quite interesting.
I agree with you. I think it is quite interesting to watch the Thai King as he speaking English when he was young. It is quite interesting. He's got quite an interesting style of speaking, and I was hanging on to every word he was saying. Actually, I was hanging on to every word. Fascinating piece of video. I think we should spread it around a little bit. Where did you find that video, Doctor?
Actually, it was passed around through our circle. I mean, cyber team. I mean, we just have everything coming in. I don't know how they did it, but they might have just searched for this clip, or maybe somebody intentionally released it. I don't know. I have no idea.
Apart from the unveiling of a statue today, I think it was, have there been any other events to commemorate this anniversary in Thailand?
No.
We never had anything to do with King Ananda's death, really, until this year. Isn't that interesting?
That's interesting. So, Ananda Maidol's anniversary, his death has never been part of the official, the official duties. Never.
Again, they never have officially say on the TV anniversary of his death. Unlike in America, we see John Kennedy, the anniversary when die, or you will see the media on the TV and talking about that. But for Thai, they never talking about this Ananda Maidol death. I never heard about.
Yeah, that's interesting that you should mention the Kennedys, because Freedom Against Censorship in Thailand has got a very good article which I can recommend to you on the subject of the Kennedys, and contrasting it a little bit with the assassination of Ananda Maidol. You should have a look at that. I can't remember now where it is exactly. I think it's here. It's Freedom Against Censorship in Thailand on the death of King Ananda Maidol of Siam on the 9th of June 1946. Okay. Have a look at that, because I think that's quite interesting. Kun Su, what do you think about this subject? What's your opinion?
Oh, my opinion? Well, I haven't listened to that tape yet. Last night I was late to connect something in Thailand, so I was stay up to 2 o'clock in the morning. Wow! So I haven't turned on that tape that we're talking about.
Yes.
It's just Ajahn Emilio you
Yes.
could see the YouTube last night.
Yes.
The King Anantamahidon did we didn't have before. We just had this recently, just last night.
Well, I've watched the video, and I can tell you I was holding my breath when the interviewer asked King Bhumibol in English, where he was, what happened, and the king very quickly answered, "Oh, I arrived and he was dead." And I remember our discussion on Forward with Thailand and the lecture we had with then journalist, that's Andrew McGregor Marshall, and I remember what he said to us. Everybody who's listened to the lecture will know what I'm talking about. Andrew McGregor Marshall believes that the present king of Thailand may have killed his brother accidentally. But in that video interview, the king says differently. He says that when he arrived, his brother was already dead. But I remember Andrew McGregor Marshall saying that the nanny's evidence was critical, and there was a suggestion that King Bhumibol was in the room when Ananda was killed, and that he wasn't in his own room. And that was the evidence of the nanny. Is that right, Doctor? Is that what Andrew said?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was just like that.
Yes. Yes.
One thing very interesting, Ajahn Amido, is that the king, King Bhumibol said, everything was political. Everybody was political. So the evidence, everybody was trying to find facts, but actually, they couldn't really, because then people just came up with theories to explain what may have happened. People who try to look for facts, straight facts, were kind of influenced, suppressed. I think that's the word he used, suppressed.
Yeah, that was the word he used. Actually, he said that it was, the whole thing happened in a politically charged environment, and that a lot of the evidence was suppressed for political reasons, etc. In fact, as soon as Ananda Maidol's death was announced, that the palace protocol kicked in, and the investigation was cancelled initially. Everybody was told to remain quiet. But it is a fascinating video, and if people have a chance to look at that, they should, because yeah, John.
Don't you see the video? He looks so guilty, I feel like he, I don't believe what he say, everything, what he give out interview. Of course he denied or he didn't know, but the way he tried to say or acting, it doesn't look real. It's just, he hiding inside. That's how I see it in the video. I don't know how you feel the same, though.
Yeah. At that point, the king looks flustered. He begins to sweat. You can see the sweat on his forehead. It's gleaming with a camera light. You can see that. It's very clear that he's uncomfortable. The reason for that, well, it could be that as the interview progresses, the temperature in the room goes up and he becomes hotter and hotter. Or it could be that the topic is becoming too hot, perhaps. But if the king does feel guilty, we don't really know why exactly. If you look at the article in Freedom Against Censorship in Thailand, just looking at the photos of Chit, Bat and Chileo, who were executed in the 1950s for the death of Ananda Maidol, that could be one of the reasons. Perhaps the king feels that he didn't do enough, or maybe he should have done a bit more, or could have done a bit more that circumstances didn't permit him to. You don't clearly know why he feels guilty, but looking at those photographs, I can tell you it's the first time I've seen pictures of Chit and Butt. And yeah, it is quite sad when you think that these three people were declared guilty and executed, and they have not been pardoned yet. Maybe it's that time now. I know that a few months ago, Freedom Against Censorship called for the case to be reopened, and Andrew McGregor Marshall agreed with Dr. Gangding and myself when we said that these people who were executed should be pardoned because, you know, they are still technically guilty.
Interesting. It looks like something that never happened before is happening actually today as we are speaking, the monument for King Rama VIII. Now, whether there will be anything for those three so-called victims.
Doctor? Doctor, can I interrupt you?
Please.
Doctor, can I interrupt you? Your sound quality is really very, very bad. I can hear John and Kun Su perfectly, but your sound is breaking up. Are you sure you've got good coverage there?
I'm not quite sure. The one on my PC doesn't work that well.
Okay, I can hear you perfectly now. Now I can hear you perfectly.
Thank you very much, Ajahn. I was too far away from the microphone, I guess. So, okay, thank you.
Please, you were saying?
Yes, I was saying, like, well, obviously we have seen, I think some sort of, what do we call that, redemption, an effort to do something, you know, for his loved ones, or maybe something that has been long overdue. That is to do something in the name of King Rama VIII. We are seeing it today. But whether we can expect stuff like justice for all those three victims of judicial system in Thailand under political influences remains to be seen. But I'm not that hopeful.
Well, I think what you've just said is right, because I mean it wasn't just one person that was hurt. I mean it was a lot of people who were hurt. The families of those three people who were executed, for one. I mean, it's all very well dedicating statues to his brother, but you know, those three men are still waiting for the truth and justice. The king himself said that Prithvi was not involved in a plot to assassinate his brother. So, if the king also said in the book The Revolutionary King that the three men who were executed were innocent, what are we waiting for? Where's the official pardon? Because technically they are still guilty of murder, because the sentence on Ananda Maidol was murder. So wouldn't today have been the perfect occasion to declare them innocent? A lot of people probably think that it would. And it's quite disappointing, actually, that all we've got is another statue to Ananda Maidol, when perhaps we should have had one for the three men who were unjustly executed. I don't know. Kun Su, do you have an opinion on this? No? I think the sound has been cut off there, Doctor. Is John still with us?
Kun John,
no?
Are you still there?
No, I think everybody's cut off.
Yes. I just closed the mic. Okay.
Oh, good. Okay, you're still with us, Kun Su. That's fine, because I thought we were having technical problems with everybody's microphones. That's fine. Doctor, what do you make of what I've just said?
Well, you know, that would be some sort of opening a can of worms, don't you think? You know, I think it takes a lot from the king to really begin doing something for his beloved brother, and it looks like something we talked with Andrew a month ago, or more than a month ago. That the fact that it must be really difficult for for the king to to really live with things that have been in his mind, in his heart, in his soul about his brother. We don't know exactly what happened, but I guess whatever it was, I'm pretty sure that it has been painful for the king. But the reason why he did not do anything about the king, about King Ramati's death, not even a monument nor anything, I mean not even a royal ceremony, for his anniversary. That's kind of odd. They might have done something, not in public, but among themselves. But we never know really whether they've done anything. But this is the first time they've done something in public, something really, really big. Now, I think this means perhaps in the Thai terms, we probably see this as a gesture of guilt, right? He's feeling guilty about, whatever. I mean, at least, there must be some element of guilt. But we're not sure why he is doing it now. But then to call for something like giving justice to all those 3 victims, admitting that they were innocent, as you say in one of his books, that would take a lot of guts, really. I don't expect to see that, Ajahn Amado, sadly. And P. John, what do you think?
I couldn't hear the clear because every sound that I heard is not connecting well.
Oh.
That's why, Doctor, you're still having problems. You're still having problems with your microphone, Doctor.
Oh, I probably will have to change the microphone. So I'll speak less today, I guess.
Hear you
you can?
Now I can hear you perfectly, but perhaps you're rocking your chair or you're moving away a little bit when you speak. You begin to break up.
Oh, I see.
To break up.
I see. I'll be more careful from now on then. Thank you very much, Pisu, for the feedback. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, this case, I haven't read so much. Only I heard it about the people talking about. But for myself knowledge, I haven't read enough to talk about it.
Yes.
Because I heard about from the kid, the parents talking about, but in myself, I know that everything that is not right, not true. So I haven't had a chance to get deep into find out exactly. So I kind of not confident to talking about. Unless I have to study again from the beginning. But I know everything is not true. Because I heard from the kid, that's the only thing that I have in my mind.
Is Moifai with us, Doctor? Is Moifai with us?
Yeah, I think she's here.
Let me add her into this. Yeah, she came a little late, I think.
Please.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, I'm going to do that right now. One moment. Yeah, she's going to be joining us soon. You go ahead.
All right, thank you. That's very interesting, Kunsu. There is very little. I don't know how much material on this subject there is in Thai, written in Thai, but in English, up until quite recently, there was very little, and it was very misleading and crazy stuff. I mean, I read in one newspaper that King Ananda had a bullet hole in his hand, that he was shot in the back, all types of crazy theories, which demonstrate that most Western journalists didn't know anything about this case. But now there's a lot of research being done and a lot of far better articles on this issue being written, not least, of course, Andrew McGregor Marshall's article in Ananda Maidol as part of the Tragedy of King Bhumibol series that he did. That's probably one of the most comprehensive pieces that I have seen. But even so, there's still a big gap in factual knowledge about the circumstances of King Ananda's death. And what I wanted to ask people is, do you think that more evidence will emerge when the king dies? Is that possible? John, what do you think?
You mean the evidence will come out after he dies?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Do you think that more evidence or things that we didn't know will emerge when the king dies? Do you think there is any more to find out, or do you think we know everything now?
I think a lot more that we don't know they will come out. I think if the king, I don't know that King Bhumibol, if he more allow the public to speak out or investigate, and it will probably know a lot more things that we don't know. What we know now, we know from here and there, and nobody know exactly. But I just mostly people believe that something is not right, something that has to be killed about King Bhumibol and his mother have something to do with the death of the King Anantamahidon. So we heard from here and there, and which is see many things that lead to believe that they are the one who do that. As far as evidence, the proof of what they do, we don't have that. Like Kun Su said, well, we don't know the answer to that, but actually, my instinct believe that they have something to do. And also, they never allow the public to talk about. They never open. They never remind the anniversary, the date. They not have the media come out and say what really exactly happened. Something like this. If they are not guilty about this, why do they not talk about?
Well, what you say, John, is absolutely true, because you can actually be prosecuted if you talk about this subject in a university, in an academic context. A lecturer who tries to deal with this subject with his students could find himself victim of lèse majesty law. It's true, but at the same time, you've got this bizarre contrast with a statue of Ananda Maidol being unveiled, and yet nobody can talk about the subject. There is a strange contrast there. Here is the statue of my dead brother, but let's not talk about how he died. Let's not talk about the circumstances behind his death. It is very strange, isn't it? How people can resist that temptation to ask questions.
Ajahn, people try hard, I guess, not to talk about it. Mainly because of Article 112. But I guess after the death of King Ramadhanite, King Bhumibol, evidence that has been suppressed will come out. I believe that strongly.
Okay.
What do you think?
Will come out, do you think?
I think the pictures, words or letters by people involved. I believe the families of the 3 victims may have certain things to say. And I guess the evidence gathered by people involved, in fact, the evidence is already appears in different places already in written works, right, by foreigners. So, but I guess hard evidence may come up that, especially the pieces that people have not seen before.
I would think so, because maybe we should speak out more, and the people will follow. The YouTube that come out today is something new that we never see before. I think that's a good sign that we should continue to speak out, and maybe it will lead to the opening more case about it. What do you think?
I agree with you, John. That video it speaks 1,000 words, really. You could write any number of articles, but to see and to hear the king talking about his brother's death and to look at him in the eyes as he's talking about his brother is, I think, quite revealing. But I didn't get the impression that I felt that he was nervous. I agree with you, but I didn't get the impression that he was necessarily lying. I thought most of what he said was probably true, but then I'm no psychological expert. But I didn't see anything in his face that made me suspicious. But well, maybe other people will interpret it in a different way. But I was quite. I was unmoved by that aspect of the video myself. Moifa, what do you think? Is she not with us?
She's struggling with her microphone and her speakers. Okay. I guess. Yeah, she'll be joining us later. Yeah. Ajahn Emilio and everyone. Part of my observation is this: out of the video clips that have just come out, I've got an impression that they are mostly positive, telling people about how hard the king and the queen together worked for the country and their people. That's the main message that I received from the video clips that have just come out. Very well compiled, indeed.
I didn't get that impression myself. I'm not sure that the Queen has had her agenda full of royal duties, to be honest with you. I'd rather go along with what Paul Handley said in his book, The King Never Smiles, which is that Queen Sirikit spent the first 20 years of her reign in the palace, living it up and having a relatively good life. And it was only when her looks began to fade that she made an attempt to reach out to people, because she saw that King Bhumibol was becoming popular and that he had a connection with Thai people. And then Queen Sirikit tried to get some of that for herself. She tried to create a power base for herself. And of course she failed miserably, because Queen Sirikit is not King Bhumibol, and she hasn't got that natural touch that the king has. She is distant, and she speaks to people like their children. And this attempt to create a power base with ordinary people didn't work. So no, I wouldn't say that the Queen has worked endlessly and tirelessly for Thailand. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, Ajahn Emilio.
No.
Yeah, but the thing is, the video is trying to depict the picture of two hard-working, a couple for their people, for the country, for Thailand.
Yeah, but it is true that you'd be hard pressed to find something that Queen Sirikit has contributed to. In fact, I think that her power base is really with a faction of the army, rather than with the public at large. Most Thai people are probably indifferent to Queen Sirikit or dislike her for her political meddling and her allegiances with the PAD, etc. But her power base is within the army, as opposed to the king, who is quite popular among Thai people for now, until of course the PAD destroy that, and they're well on their way to doing it, as we can see from the news that is emerging from Thailand. The PAD are absolutely determined to destroy the king's reputation, but there you go. Kunsu, what do you think? Is Kunsu with us?
I guess she has turned her microphone off, so it would take
yes, I think
a few
so.
seconds.
I think so. But she's still listening, I think.
Yes.
John, what do you think?
Regarding the Queen, how hard she was.
Yes.
Yeah, she was doing something way back that you heard about when I still in Thailand. The king and the queen gone out to the country and meet people, but what they actually did it doesn't really affect it, But in the way that they went to see people to show that they are the king, and the people pay respect to them. In our eye at that time, it looked very good. We feel that we have something, but looking today, what is better for the people? The life of people, the poor, get better. We don't really see anything change, for the past 50 years that it said. People still the same thing. People are still poor. The condition doesn't get any better. But even though the king and the queen have gone out so many times, it seems like they work hard, for their own people. And I don't know what to give credit to them or not, or how much we should give credit to them. Until Thaksin become Prime Minister, he has done something for the poor that we can see the difference that what Thaksin has done, and then we can see that's what we want, to see someone actually do something that the people get better, the life get better, and just some of my view. I don't know, what else to say about it.
Well, I want to say something about that. I don't know how to say this without falling into a hole, because people will probably misunderstand what I mean, but I'm going to try anyway, okay? There is a difference between what the king has done and what Thaksin has done, in my opinion. Maybe the king hasn't done as much as people claim. There's always exaggeration and flattery, and with lèse majesty law you have to do that. But during King Bhumibol's reign, Thai people generally have benefited. Some more than others, okay? But the standard of living has gone up in Thailand, and the wealth has trickled down to the poor. And relatively speaking, I think Thai people now have, economically a better lifestyle than they did maybe 30 or 40 years ago. I don't think anybody can argue with that, okay? But whether that wealth has been distributed fairly is a different matter. I think it's probably true that the elite have benefited far more, and the army too, have benefited far more than ordinary people. But ordinary Thai people have also benefited from, the relative stability, if you ignore all the massacres and coups, the relative stability in Thailand. And then you've got Thaksin. Now, what Thaksin did was good too, but I don't think it's possible to compare the two things. I think what Thaksin did is different, because what he did was to use public money to distribute that money to villages, etc., for projects. I think he set up a pension fund, and he invested and distributed money to the poor. But without that foundation which existed before, that wouldn't really have been possible. I mean, what I'm saying to you is, if Thaksin had really wanted to help poor people, maybe he would have used some of his own money, some of his own personal fortune to help Thai people. It's all very well taking public money and giving it to people. It's not really that difficult, and it doesn't really cost you anything personally. So what I'm saying is that what Taksin did was, well, populist projects, perhaps to win favour with poor people, to create a power base for himself. I don't know. What do you think about what I've just said? Am I anywhere near the truth?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe you're right in some of that. I like to add on what I just say. I think many Thai people, common Thai people, who see the same. Actually, we just love the king and the queen for what we have. I think until we know what something negative about them. Mostly we know a lot when the red shirt come out. We see someone come out and speak about how the other side of the king of the monarchy, and we know that they behind politics, behind the coup many times. They are the reason of student was killed in university, and so many things, so on and so on. How negative thing that they have done, and that's what the popularity of the king and the queen go down, and also they become the wealthy king in the world or something for the past how many years, and that thing that we know that make us hate them or don't like them no more. And before we were love the king, just see the image that they've gone up to see the people, and that actually just enough, but when you see something negative that they did and what they have done good, it doesn't make it doesn't make you love them anymore, because so many horrible things that they have done. I think that's what it is. Thai people who doesn't like them no more, and up until now we see so many things that until the red shirt people was here and they were behind the path, behind the Democrat Party, opposite thing, and that's what now we don't like them no more.
I get the feeling that the institution has miscalculated, because perhaps in the past it was only important to do deals with important provincial governors or the army or generals, whatever. But things have changed now. Technology has changed, information flow has changed, and the support of ordinary people now has become very important, and I think the institution is beginning to realise that. Perhaps in the past it wasn't really necessary because of the democratic deficit in Thailand. It wasn't really necessary to gain the support of Thai people. It was only necessary to keep them sweet with a few handouts of rice and just churn out some propaganda, and everybody will be happy and quiet. And if they revolt, we'll just send out the army bully boys. But that's changed now. Thailand has changed because of technology, despite the best efforts of MITT to stop people from gaining access to information. Thai people have got access to information, and they're organising themselves, and they're becoming politically aware. And that I think is where the elite have miscalculated. They've miscalculated the power of the people. People power is now a reality, and people want democracy. People want to form part of the game. They want their voices heard, and this is quite a powerful message, I think. And the elite is still fumbling their way through this. They're still trying to digest this reality, and it is in a sense a transition period for them, and how they cope with that and how they adapt to that is critically important for their survival. And up until now they haven't done it very well. They thought they could go back to their old methods, crush a few people, and then everything would be back to normal, back to the fantasy world in which Thai people have been living for the past 60 years. But it's obvious that it's not going to be like that. Do you see what I mean? Doctor, what do you think?
Oh, you are exactly right, Ajahn Amilo, and also I think it's also interesting that Kun John talks about tries to compare the contribution of the royal family and Thaksin. Now, I think I'm a Buddhist who believes in one thing, that is nothing is permanent. You know, things change over time, and when we look at the case of the King Bhumibol and his role within the Thai society, we have to understand that everything is historical, in a sense that before actually you are exactly right, Ajahn Milo, in pointing out Paul Henley's note about the Queen being quite sabai, you know, quite relaxed in during her first 20 years. You know, raising a lot of children, raising a lot of children and all that, right? They had fun together. They would go back to Europe and spend, you know, time with the family and all that. But, you know, when I grew up back in the 60s, you know, late 60s and early 70s, that was basically about 20 years after their marriage. About the king, after the King Bhumibol became head of the country, exactly about 20 years. At that time, we had a problem with communism. You know that, right? The domino effect. So, you know, 20 years onward, 30 years after their marriage. At that time, Thailand needed a figure at the top to really unite everybody, and it worked really well, you know, for the royal family to be at the center of everybody's heart, because we did not have anything else at that time. I mean, the military, we were so small. I mean, the army, we had a small army that we couldn't really rely on, so we needed somebody who would be there to go deeper into our hearts and souls in order to unite us, to make us one, fighting against the foreign invaders. And it works really well. And in fact, the picture of the king and the queen being quite lovely, I have to say. They are good-looking people at that time, and with the mass media helping, and Thais are pretty easy to please, and they're easy to manipulate, I would say. So at that time, we had all the reasons to support the image of the king and the queen as something highly revered, something useful, something respectable, lovable. But as time goes by, as you and Kun John also said, Ajahn Milo, things have changed. People's lifestyle, standards of living, the need for royal family to be at the center of the hearts and souls of the people in the nation are no longer, are no longer true to the situation. So, as we can see, when Thaksin came in, and Thaksin actually proved to people that the policy or the image that you have about people working hard for them now can become viable, become something that they can really feel. Of course, we cannot, as Ajahn Milo said, we cannot compare the two contributions, because the king, well, whatever he may have done, you say maybe he used his own time and perhaps some money, but I also put a question mark there, because we have learned from certain facts in recent years that the royal projects were basically just his ideas, but also all run by people's money too. So okay.
Yeah, I didn't say that the king put his own money. I was suggesting that Thaksin should do that rather than using state money. He should demonstrate his loyalty to Thai people by using some of his own fortune. I didn't suggest that the king had done that.
I see.
No, all the evidence shows that the king too has initiated projects, but other people have carried them out, and many of the projects have been carried out with public money. Yeah.
Actually, Thaksin has done quite a bit, Ajahn Emilio, but of course, he can't put all his money into, Thai Com Foundation. That foundation has been quite instrumental to development in education and social development in Thailand.
I mean, that was a monopoly. It operated in a near monopoly or total monopoly situation, and of course it was going to make a lot of money, and of course it could pump some of that money back into projects, social projects, which you were mentioning, of course.
Yeah. Oh, well, I agree. Yeah. Maybe it's just like 0.5% of all the profits that Thaicom has gained from the country. Yeah.
Thaksin recently said in an interview that he was rich before he became prime minister. And what annoyed him was this myth, as he called it, that he became rich when he was prime minister. He said he insisted that he lost money. He didn't make any money, he lost it. I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you, because, I mean, this is one case where he did make a lot of money in the communications, the telecommunications industry, etc. I mean, I find it hard to believe that Thaksin lost money as a result of being prime minister. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I mean, we have to remember that there was a conviction against him, probably politically motivated. I think the 2-year conviction to do with a land deal and his wife, I think. So I think there was a certain amount of corruption going on there, although the people who were trying to nail him on corruption had a hard time finding something on Thaksin. So if he was corrupt, he did very well. In the end, they had to go for his wife in order to convict him. So, yeah.
Kun John, what do you think about Thaksin being rich or losing money?
Yeah, I agree with Ajahn Emilio. He might have made some money when he in office. But again, I'm not very sure. I know he was wealthy. He was rich before he became prime minister, and when he come in, and he probably makes some more. And I can't really say that much. I don't know exactly.
I have something to add though. I would say, losing money in his sense, it must have been quite significant amount of money spent during his tenure as a prime minister. Being in Thailand as a senior leader, or especially at that position of even Sasa, House representatives, or not to mention prime minister. You have to spend a lot of money. But to run a political party, to my best knowledge, in fact, you pay everybody in the party, especially the House representatives. These people who have their own monthly salary, and during the election season, you pay them. I mean, the money has to come from Thaksin himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to point finger and tell people, direct people to do certain things or not to do things. And it's a known fact that Thaksin actually was the one paying the money, but not Thaksin alone. Of course, his allies also helped him in that. But I think Thaksin must have spent a lot of money. Do you remember when his party became really, really big, winning like 377 seats in the parliament? The House representatives that joined his party did not hadn't been in his circle, So basically he brought all those people together and formed a new party, and that party became the most powerful one in the Thai history so far. Within it's just like a blink of the eyes, like that. So money can actually, only money, I think, can generate something of that rapid speed and great.
Are you referring to the Thai Thai party or the Per Thai party?
Thai Thai.
The dissolved Thai Thai party. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
It became like from an unknown party, a new party. Within a few years, it became like the unbeatable, invincible party at that time. So much so that the other side had to come up with the coup d'état and the laws that would dissolve the party.
Yes. I want to go back to what we were talking about before, because I think this is important. We were talking about what the king has done and what Thaksin has done, and I said that, the king has been monarch of Thailand over many decades, where Thailand's prosperity has increased and the wealth has trickled down to ordinary people. Although there has been a lot of corruption, a lot of people have filled their pockets. Generally, it's fair to say that everybody has benefited from that. Thaksin, on the other hand, I said, has handed out public money to certain groups of people, probably to win popularity or to establish a power base for himself. And I think what's also true is that, this is what I wanted to add, Thaksin's performance wasn't that good as Prime Minister. I think this needs to be said. I remember reading reports in 2007 where Thaksin was being heavily criticised by, among other people, the king. The king summoned Thaksin and told him that he had to improve his financial performance. So Thaksin may have been a popular prime minister as a result of some of the handouts that he gave poor people in the villages, but as a prime minister and somebody who controlled the economy, he wasn't that good. He wasn't that effective. If you look back at the reports at that time, you'll see that what I'm saying is true. He didn't do a great job on the economy. Corruption was rampant. I'm not saying that he was corrupt, but corruption in general was rampant, and the economy wasn't that great. And I think that, in a way, also influenced the coup makers to push him out. Thaksin was popular not because of the economy, because the economy was great, but because he was giving public money to projects, etc., to villages and that. And I think that needs to be said. What do you think?
Let me jump in first, then, and then John can add. I think if you look at the source of the criticism,
that's interesting that Ajahn Emilio said that maybe some of that is true. He wasn't very doing well, but the major thing that people like him because he turned the economy around. I don't know how he did, but he paid back to the IMF money, and the economy, the GDP was up high to 6 or 5 or 6 while he was in the prime minister. And as far as drugs, he methamphetamine was very forgive me for sometimes it's hard to put the word in English. Methamphetamine was in other words, the war on drugs. He did very well. It was clean out the drugs. I don't know if Thaksin come in, the methamphetamine was widespread in Thailand in every community. Even school children are used and sell methamphetamine. So when Thaksin come in and he able to eliminate all of that. I think that's
Yeah.
what brings him to popularity.
Yeah, eliminate is the right word. I believe that 2,000 people were executed in cold blood. Is that right, John?
They were killed.
Yes.
I think that people who involved with drug dealers to produce or sell the drug, they will either kill them, they turn in each other and kill themselves, or they were killed by whatever the government, at that time.
They run into the bullets. They run into the bullets.
In my opinion,
I think, yes.
In my opinion, I was okay with that. I mean, I don't know how many died, but I was.
Yeah, but you can't do that in a democracy. You can't do that. You've got to follow the rule of law. You can't just jump the rules and execute 2,000 people and be popular with people, because while you're doing that, you're destroying the rule of law. And I think Thaksin didn't understand that. You can't risk everything just to be popular. You've got to follow the rule of law on these issues and respect that and respect the laws and do things the right way. You can't then think that nothing's going to happen to you, because if you play by those rules, so will your enemies and your rivals. And then you can't say, oh look, this is illegal, this is unfair, this coup is illegal, because Thaksin himself sometimes bent the rules and did things which were illegal, and that's the problem. If people don't respect the laws or they manipulate the laws, then the whole thing comes crashing down. A country doesn't work; it becomes a failed state. So I don't agree with those methods. I don't think they were all right, because everybody's entitled to a fair trial. And I don't think that it's right to kill people or to give the order to kill drug dealers, etc., using illegal methods. It's only my opinion, though.
And I would like to share my opinion then. First about Thaksin's performance. Thaksin came up with a scheme of the first 4 years in his position to.
Doctor, your sound is breaking up.
Again, huh?
To understand.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have to be this close to the microphone. All right. Regarding his economic performance, he meant to, for the first 4 years, to be for fixing the country, of course, putting it back on track, and then the next 4 years will be for building the future. And he was so confident that he could get rid of poverty. I mean, I had never heard of anybody, being so daring in saying that. Anyway, he said that, and he would want to continue the second term with that scheme. But it seems that to a lot of Thais, that would not be allowed by people at the higher position, also including the allies of the status quo, because that would mean Thaksin would change the entire country around. I mean, really completely. He was trying to empower people in the villages, giving them money, helping them to stand on their own feet, helping them be independent from the influence of people, in the status quo. Now, I don't have the number in front of me right now to say what is what, but based on what the villagers and a lot of business owners have said, they really felt the progress at that time, and they were really hopeful. And there were quite a great number of mega projects, as we call it, mega project in Thai. That means a lot of projects involving money. Now, on the one hand, people do not trust that Thaksin would be would spend all that money to the benefits of the people at the top level. They don't think they would benefit. Obviously, a lot of that money would be spent on projects that will build the foundation for people at the grassroots level. That's why they didn't like it. But also they think with that much money coming in, they probably didn't think that Thaksin they might have thought that Thaksin would gain his authority even more, because through those projects, they know as a tradition in Thailand, when you become a politician, you have a mega project that means a lot of money coming into your party. So that the Democrat Party could not allow to happen. And all combined, Thaksin was having enemies, all around him. So that led to the coup d'etat. So I'm not going to go much deeper into details about his economic performance, but that's the kind of circumstantial elements that I would like to interject here. The second thing, what is it about? Ajahn Milo, please remind me. The second point about Thaksin. I'm so sorry.
Was there a second point?
Yeah, that's the second part.
I don't remember the second part.
That you disagree with John about war on drugs, right? Was that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That thing actually, I think it is controversial. I personally do not believe that Thaksin ordered a crackdown, like a brutal crackdown. Thaksin got his PhD in criminal justice. And to give an order, like a blunt order, saying you go kill them, I think that's not what I heard either. What he said was that we think you are destroying the country by becoming a drug dealer or a drug producer, right? So this is a serious crime. We're gonna be harsh on you. If you sell, okay, if you take drugs, we consider victims, so you will be pardoned, okay? We'll give you all the support that you need. But if you sell, turn away from it, because that you are killing people by that. And producers, he said, you are committing serious crime. We're going to be quite serious about getting rid of you. Now, out of the number that you mentioned, 2,000 or whatever, I didn't really look into the actual report, but my understanding is that in the Thai discourse, they refer to this as Kha Tat Ton. Kha Tat Ton means killing before it gets to certain people, right? You cut the connection before it comes to you. So basically, to me, that would mean all these bad people, drug dealers and all the gangs, once a person is caught, and the next person may be caught, because they know that certain people on the ground are on the list, and now the police are pursuing them. In order for the police to not to be able to track the trace to certain guys at the top higher level, they order assassination of all these people at the lower level. So the murders, most of the cases, as far as I heard, came from these bad guys killing one another. Now, of course, there were reports about the police assassinating certain drug dealers, and sadly, though, sometimes it's almost like we heard news about these presumably innocent people, armless people got killed, or something like that, or even an armed guy got killed by the police. That picture didn't really sell well, in a Buddhist country anyway. But I guess the news that was spread around about the government being, harsh, being inhumane and all that, came from people who lost in this business. And I think we have to take this with what do you call that? A pint of salt and grain. I think I really have to look at this like without taking a side at this point in time. But I think drugs are dangerous to the country, and I agree with Thaksin. Whatever he did, of course, brutality and police brutality and stuff should not be tolerated in a democratic country. And we have to look at this with evidence. I think hard evidence, and I need to study more. I believe. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, it was John who said that he agreed with that. I didn't say that. John said what you said, which is that they shot each other. They ran into the bullets. I said they shot each other, and that Thaksin probably didn't give the order. But what I'm saying is that Thaksin Shinawatra was the Prime Minister at the time, and this was clearly an abuse of human rights and the rights of people who are entitled to a fair trial. And I think that somebody should be brought to account for this, just like we are calling for Abhisit to be brought to trial for what he did. I think that Thaksin should answer questions on this too, which is why I am against an amnesty for everybody. Whatever has gone wrong and whatever led to the coup in 2006 needs to be fully investigated. You said so yourself, Doctor. You don't know all the circumstances. You don't have all the information. Well, that's why we have trials. That's why we have investigations on these issues. It's no good giving people a blanket amnesty without finding the truth. And it's true that those people were drug dealers, whatever, but they still have rights. Okay, I disagree with drugs. I never take them myself, but I don't think that justifies extrajudicial killing of people. I also want to say something else, because I think I've been misunderstood. I never once suggested that Thaksin gave the order to kill those people in order to be popular, okay, which is what some people are saying. What I have said is that Thaksin handed out money to villages, etc., in the populist tactics, which are also being used by his sister, Yingluck Shinawatra. I never once suggested that he gave the order to shoot those people in order to be popular. But it is true that some people were pleased that the problem was resolved in the way that it was. Yes, John.
Ajahn Emilio, I don't know you have known or seen the news in Thailand before Thaksin come in. If you have seen the news every daily life during that time about the drugs was a problem, and you will feel the same way I feel, because when you see the news or you see people kill the father would kill the wife or children because he's high on drugs, or people would gone up to the pole and because he used drugs and he would get high on drugs, you know. And
I've seen it. I've seen those videos. I've seen videos of... Yeah, of course I have. I've seen videos of people holding that knife to their wife's neck and holding their children. This is the effect of yabba. This is the effect of drugs. Drugs are a scourge. They destroy families. They destroy societies. But quick solutions and illegal acts of brutality destroy a country too, just as much as drugs do. And I don't think that anybody should be applauding anybody who has perhaps being involved in these type of actions. I think it needs to be fully investigated. If there is a crime against humanity, if there is an illegal act, it should be investigated, and those who are responsible for what happened should be brought to justice, even though in the end it did get rid of the drug dealers, it did push them out. It's not the way to do things, because once you go down that road, it's basically nation is sliding into anarchy, and look at the result. Look at the result of that.
I agree with you, I agree with you, but at that time, if you saw the problem by the rule of law, I don't know you can stop that the drug situation there. It's like the car is run down the hill. It's without the brake, you know.
Yes, but maybe if Thaksin had...
You can't really stop him. Unless
Well, you can.
You know.
You can if you're the Prime Minister. Perhaps the money would have been better distributed in a different way by giving the police more resources or whatever. I mean, there is no quick fix situation in these circumstances. I think that this should be not just swept under the carpet and excuses made. If we're going to condemn Abbasid for killing 91 people, then we should also question Thaksin for killing 2,500 people. We can't have a double standard here.
Ajahn Milo, I totally agree with you in that amnesty should not be granted to everybody without fair trial or investigation. Now, this, yes, should be the same for both Kun Thaksin Shinawatra and everybody else, including Abhisit. Now, the fact of the matter about Thaksin's performances on drug war remains controversial, remains unclear. Right now, we can say that Thaksin actually was involved in killing these, so-called 2,000 people. We had to really look at the numbers and break them down into cases and all that. At the same time, of course, we cannot say that Thaksin's performance was just, despite the fact that it did make people feel that Thailand became safer and they felt better about that young kids in the village. Becoming sort of drug free and people in drug business also became quite restless. I guess they had to be on their toes all the time and that helped Thailand in a way. But since we don't have hard facts to support whether Thaksin actually was involved in the murder and it was unlawful, I think that needs to be further investigated. Of course, amnesties must not be granted, but a fair trial, a fair investigation needs to be there. Because right now we can't do that, because Thaksin was kicked out of the country, and this is one of the reasons, one of the accusations against him, is that he didn't respect the rule of law. He was brutal against people in the country, and then he created chaos. But again, we have to bear in mind that out of people who made all these accusations about him, wanting to topple the monarch, him killing people, murdering people, abusing the human rights regulations, and all these things come from people who hated him and wanted to kick him out. So I think we have to look at this as a person, a neutral, with a person with a neutral mind, in that Thaksin needs to be clear about this. Of course, he is subject to further investigation, but we can't say that he actually killed those people either.
No, we can't. Nobody's saying that.
Right.
I don't think anybody has said that. What we've said very clearly is that everybody should be treated equally under the law, and anyone who abuses the democratic process and who abuses his power while he's in power, while he's Prime Minister, should be brought under the same scrutiny and not given an amnesty. I think those people who think it's okay to let somebody off the hook but not let somebody else off the hook, for example, those who think that it's okay not to talk about this issue and get angry because we're talking about Thaksin's possible involvement in extrajudicial killings, and at the same time pontificating about Abbasid and Suthep, I don't think they're being fair, because it's about laws and justice for body, and those people who were killed also had families, remember, and they were not guilty. It's true that their sons or daughters, whatever, were drug traffickers, but those families lost sons as well, and they deserve justice too. I think far too many people who support Thaksin are painting him out to be like making him out to be some sort of saint, and maybe he isn't. John.
I agree. I agree with you on that point that people who were killed, they have family too that they care about. I have a friend who yellow shirt. His brother was killed during the drug war, and he that's why he become yellow shirt. And now I think about that now. But I also had niece and nephew who were almost get killed during that time.
Yeah.
That they do involve with drug dealers.
You see, John.
But in my opinion, I would say if they happen to be killed, I mean my niece and nephew, I still not going to be that sorry because. The way you think the people who are involved with drug dealers who were killed and the late church who come out to call for democracy and they were killed, I can see some difference, I see bad people, I see good people. I mean, bad people, if they will happen to be die, even though it's not that fair to them, I think good to get rid of them, and a good people like the red shirt who happen to die.
Yeah, we're not comparing. We're not comparing those who died as a result of political activities and those who died as a result of drug dealing, etc. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that everybody's entitled under the law to the same treatment and to justice in exactly the same way. There are no first-class and second-class citizens, and I think it's wrong for political reasons not to touch on this subject and to be intimidated into silence over this. I think that Thaksin is no angel. I think that he made mistakes as well, and to a certain extent lost legitimacy as a prime minister because he didn't follow the rule of law. And if we're going to sit here and condemn those who killed 91 people for the unlawful way in which they did that, I think we should also do it for Thaksin, who may have possibly been involved in the unlawful execution of 2,500 people. I don't see anything controversial about that. I think a lot of people probably think the same in the same way, which is why the reconciliation bills, which give amnesty to absolutely everybody, should be looked at with a lot of suspicion.
Yeah, I guess we've come to the same conclusion that you and me at least, is that amnesty must not be granted to everybody without a fair trial first. Ajahn Amilo and Kun John, looks like Kun Moefa has been trying to participate, but since she can't really use her microphone right now, she has written a few messages for us. May I read one or two of them?
It's fine, as long as I get the chance to respond to them, yeah.
Oh, sure, of course. Everybody does have a chance. Okay, we have plenty of time left. 30 minutes left, I guess, now. Kun Moefa says, I knew one respectable person who has told me that the solid evidence was kept in a private safe in one of his close families was involved with the death of King Ananda. I think he said that the evidence is being kept here in the U.S. Okay, that's something to add, I guess.
Well, that could possibly be true, but we don't know. We don't know.
Right. Yeah, we don't know for sure. But I've heard the same story, the same rumor as well. So we see.
Yeah, but it's still a rumor.
Right. Indeed. We won't know until after the death of King Bhumibol, I guess. Looks like on the drug war. Okay. Kun Mui Fa says Dr. Thaksin has given so much for his for this monarchy, royal family, from his own pocket and through government during his prime minister time. He made his money by his own talents. We go ahead.
It's true that Thaksin has given the royal family a lot of money. For example, he paid Prince Vajiralongkorn's gambling debt. This was revealed by WikiLeaks. He tried to win favor with the Crown Prince, which is again one of the reasons why the army pushed him out, because they were frightened that he was having too much influence with the royal family. And recently we saw his sister donate, I think it was 7 rai of rice land, and the idea there was that would be his return ticket back to Thailand. He has made his own money by his own talents. Well, it depends how you interpret that, but I think that somebody who makes a lot of money from a telecoms company which has a monopoly, which is running at the same time as his prime minister, certainly has a lot of talent, because in any other country he probably wouldn't be able to do that. You can't be the prime minister and be the owner of a monopoly telecommunications company. You can't. It's incompatible. The two things are incompatible, because sooner or later you're going to use your political power to influence your business capacity.
Kun Mui Fa also said, we almost lost the whole country to the drug lord. That's the truth, though she's very confident. As you know, who is the big drug lord in Thailand? Do you know who it is, Ajahn Amelo?
Well, drugs destroy families, they destroy people, and they destroy countries. But the question is, why was this allowed to happen? And that's what needed to be looked at. Why was the drug problem allowed to get so out of control that it needed such drastic measures in the end? And who is the drug lord in Thailand? I don't know. You tell me. Who is the drug lord in Thailand?
Ajahn Amelo, I will just report what people have said. Okay, rumor has it that the drug.
Do you mean King Bhumibol? Do you mean King Bhumibol?
The royal family, yes. Yes.
The royal family.
Yep.
Well, I mean, there's no evidence. I mean, there is some evidence that there was some petty drug dealing in the palace. For example, when Vajiralongkorn and his second wife divorced, they separated. There were mutual accusations of drug dealing. Bent accused Vajiralongkorn of dealing in cocaine, I think it was, and there were mutual accusations about this in the divorce. But these rumours about the royal family being involved in wholesale drug dealing, I find it quite difficult to believe, although Vajiralongkorn's first wife was stopped in Paris and she had drugs in her suitcase. Again, that was reported in a French newspaper. How much of the truth has emerged and how much of the truth is still to emerge, I don't know. I mean, we'd have to have solid proof about this.
Sure. I think, we should go for evidence and proofs. Yeah, but rumor does have it that the royal family has been involved in drug businesses. So that remains to be proven by us Thais and people involved. I guess it's not just a matter of Thailand. I guess it is, from the way I see it, is kind of international drug trafficking business here we are talking about. Yeah. Kun Mui Fa also said a little bit more. Ajahn Amelo, you can respond. Ajahn Amelo, I disagree with you that Dr. Thaksin did massacre of 2,500 people. It was a set up.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. You didn't say that. Yeah.
I didn't say that Thaksin massacred those people.
Interesting. She said it's a set up, Ajahn Amelo. What do you think?
But I didn't say that.
I know.
I did not say that Thaksin massacred those people. At no point did I say that.
Right. I got that. Now, Kun Mui Fa said it may have been a set up. What do you think? Kun John as well.
Hello?
Yeah.
Set up what?
Set up like the massacre. Thaksin didn't order, but basically people just wanted to set it up so that it looks like Thaksin was a brutal, prime minister ordering the police to kill all these people, including innocent people, randomly. Yeah.
Just go naturally. I think when Thaksin tried to, he said before the drug war began, he gave the 3-month time to the drug dealer and user to stop in 3-month time before, and when the time began, and that's what they will turn into one another because they want to keep secret. As Dr. Pian Lin had said, before mean if you are the head of the drug dealer, you kill the one below you, so the police cannot come to you, and that's how it happened. But also the official, the police might gone out and kill some of that, and I would say half and half or something. That's actually happened. I don't think it's any set up or anything. That's the way it happened.
Ajahn Emilio, do you have any thoughts about this?
Sorry, I'm eating something. Do I have any thoughts about that? No, because I don't want to speculate, and I don't like rumours, and I don't want to say things that are groundless or baseless. I'm going to stick to my line, which is what I've already said, which is that the incident while Thaksin was Prime Minister, more than 2,000 people being killed without a trial, needs to be brought into the political discussion, because I think it highlights very clearly the rights of the family of those people and the mistake that Thai people would be making if an amnesty was granted to absolutely everybody across the board. That's what I've said all along. I've never implied that anybody's guilty or that it's a set-up or anything else.
We don't have the family of those who were killed at that time came up and ask for or call for investigate or do anything. But if they do, I think we should bring it up.
I think, John, I think the reason why they didn't do that is because of the shame factor. Because your son is a drug dealer. You don't want people to know that. But I think that they are the forgotten victims of the Thaksin government. And I think that this should be brought out, and I think that people should start talking about this. And I would encourage the families of those victims to demand the same rights for themselves and for their families. Sorry if that upsets anybody. I think I'm being consistent. I think the argument is perfectly consistent. The state was responsible. The state security forces were responsible for the death of 2,500 people who did not receive a fair trial, and that is an injustice. It's an injustice, and it needs to be brought into this equation.
Okay.
Well, Ajahn Emilio, yes, I think I totally agree with you, and nobody should be granted amnesty. But at the same time, we have to put it in quote that the state was involved in over 2,500 deaths that have not been identified, have not been properly investigated or looked into yet. So, well, I do want to add a fact here that even in the United States, if there is a fighting between the police and the bad guys, supposedly bad guys, it is possible that you sometimes see the police kill the bad guys. And that appears in the news. Of course, then people still don't like that every time that happens, people are upset about it, and of course, investigation needs to be made about each case.
Well, how else is reconciliation going to happen? Serious reconciliation, unless all the truth comes out. John just said it. He knows of somebody who became a yellow shirt because one of his family members was killed. It's obvious that this is important. It's an important issue. It made a lot of people angry and resentful, and it forms part of the problems. Perhaps the Thaksin administration was involved in irregular things that made royalists very angry. And if there is going to be a reconciliation, then blame needs to be apportioned correctly to everybody who's guilty.
Yeah, I think that's important. Truth needs to be sought after, and then once the truth is there, justice needs to be brought into place before any amnesty be granted to anybody. But the problem is really this. I mean, we can't really be sure, exactly what may have happened, because right now we can't trust the judicial system in Thailand. Thaksin cannot come back because under the current judicial system, he's going to be found guilty in all cases. Even the case about his wife, giving his signature to his wife who would go out and buy a piece of land, in public, in a fair system. He has been convicted, imprisonment, subject to 2 years imprisonment. I mean, that is something, that's a deadlock in Thailand in a way, because Thaksin cannot come back, and people demand justice, demand that Thaksin will come back as a prisoner, not as, an innocent person who hasn't been proven guilty, without any doubt. So yeah, I think reconciliation in Thailand is really just a farce, I would say. It's sad to have to say that. But where do we begin? That's really a big question. Last time we talked about a deadlock or dilemma. But I guess we can't just make a shortcut as you are emphasizing here. There needs to be certain steps that Thais will have to agree upon. And I think Niti Rat's proposal makes a lot of sense. What do you guys think?
John, what do you think?
Yeah, as far as reconciliation, I think it's stopped. It's not going on because it looks like the monarchy is not working with Thaksin. As the last phone in that he said, I think he give ahead to let Church to go on fight for democracy. I guess something turned around. Actually, I'm happy about that. Last time we were talking about that Thaksin want us to forgive the past and move on, and that it doesn't go the way he wanted to be. And I think the king, I guess, not okay with that or something. The yellow shirt had come out. It held out with, the reconciliation, not able to move on. Now we at maybe Dr. Tian could speak for me. Sometimes I have a hard time to put everything together and say, but I can only say that I'm happy now we actually the red shirt are together. We are not separate. We are not divided into many groups. I think we are come at the point that we have the same enemy. We have one enemy. We are one now. That's how I think it. Go from now, whoever gonna win or lose, so we should know sooner or later. But detail, maybe Dr. Kevin can speak for more, but that's how situation right now. Maybe we should talk about this.
John, you said that red shirts are one and you have the same enemy and that you're all together now. I've got a report here on my screen which says that when Thaksin phoned in live, there were people there, red shirts, who stood up and walked out. They didn't want to listen to Thaksin. Many red shirts picked up their bags and they walked out of the speech. Which shows that what you're saying is not entirely correct. The red shirts.
I'm sorry, some of that I didn't know.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that I've read that in the newspaper. I'm looking for it now, and it's here at the bottom. Well, it doesn't really matter because that's what I read, and I saw it in the video too. Watch the video, John. Watch the video of the event which happened recently. Everybody's sitting down, and suddenly there is a live link to Thaksin. Thaksin appears on the screen. Here it is. There were reports that UDD crowd walked out of the Thunderdome as Thaksin phoned in this evening. It just shows that some red shirts don't support Thaksin. The idea that the red shirt movement is solidly behind Thaksin is not true. Many red shirts don't support him. Many progressive red shirts don't support him. Doctor, you said it yourself last week. I think it's Sombot, the I Am Red, the leader of the... who basically told Thaksin to get lost, I think you said.
Yes.
And this demonstrates that the red shirt movement is factionalized and divided, and not everybody loves Thaksin. John, I mean, this is rhetoric. This is the result. This confusion that you have is the result of a whole week of rhetoric coming from Jattaporn and the super team made up of Charlan, Jattaporn, and Natterwood. They've basically been churning out propaganda that has gone to people's heads. Everybody has forgotten that red shirts were encouraged to break the law by the UDD leadership. They were encouraged to go to the streets, occupy public spaces. They were encouraged to continue protesting even after the government of Abbasid agreed to hold elections for 3 months. Reports in Prashataya demonstrate that Thaksin knew that there was going to be a military crackdown against the red shirts, but they continued. They left all of us open-mouthed when they refused to disperse, even after Abbasid had agreed to dissolve the government in 3 months. They continued. They kept on pushing their luck, knowing that they would provoke the army, and they're trying to do it again. And in the end, when the army reacted, because they would, of course, they had the orders from the Centre for Resolution of Emergency Situations. In the end, the UDD let everybody down. They told the red shirts to go home, it's all over. After all the rhetoric, all the sabre rattling and all the drum beating, they told these poor people to go home, that it was all over. And that was probably a good thing to do, because they stopped more people from being killed. But they pushed their luck and they pushed these people to the limit. And now they're trying to do this exactly again, the same thing with all this cool rhetoric, and it's completely irresponsible. And I feel that that needs to be said.
อาจารย์ไม่รู้ in politics and คุณจร as well, in politics nothing is absolute. I mean it's true. I mean it's so relative to different factors. Now talking about what Kun John just said about people turning together, trying to reunite, at least they know their enemies more. There is some sort of element of fact in that, in the sense that before red shirts, I think the Thunderdome speech by Thaksin Shinawatra was kind of more positive than all the rest that we had listened to before that. in that Thaksin would come out and apologize, profusely, and then also said, I've learned a lesson, and I won't be, fool again. Now, of course, that remains to be seen, and I haven't heard very positive news about his and Kun Yingluck's decision about whether to go on with the proposal to redraft the constitution. It looks like there is a halt. There's an order to stop the process. So that means there would not be support from Thaksin and Yingluck administration for the people who would go out and fight for true democracy through a new constitution. That remains to be seen. It's just something something leaking out from the meeting room. I do have people out there who would report to me all these things about, the things that haven't happened yet, but the decisions that have already been made about certain things. Now, I mean, the love and the support for Thaksin and Yingluck administration will also be, unpredictable. It all depends on the things that come out each day. It's almost a day-by-day basis for the prediction of the direction of the love, the support that people have, and the decision by the Pheu Thai party and Thaksin. As we can see, before Thaksin was really confident about reconciling with the status quo, and Yingluck has been firm about siding with the power that be up there in order to move the country forward. Now, I think the love for Thaksin Shinawatra actually has been shaken violently, I would say, especially before the Thunderdome speech. After the Thunderdome speech, a lot of people became hopeful, thinking that Thaksin would join force with the majority of the many progressive red shirts who want revolution, who want to change the country drastically. Now, whether this will happen, whether this will shift back to the direction that the Yingluck administration announced during her first term, at the beginning of her first term, remains to be seen. So I think we can't be sure to say, too sure to say that Yingluck administration and the red shirts are now united and they are fighting against the status quo. I think we have to keep following the news.
Well, I find your assertion that progressive Thais want revolutionary change and they want I find that very strange, because it's precisely progressive Thais, progressive red shirts, who have been trying to keep a lid on this coup issue. If it wasn't for the cool head being kept by progressive red shirts, the political situation in Thailand would now be a lot worse. If there is somebody who is radical, it's the UDD leadership with their calls to die for Yingluck, with their exaggerated calls of a coup, which, as you can see, is not happening. Here we are a week later, and Pryor is saying exactly the same as he was saying last week. I mean, it's the UDD that's being irresponsible. Yingluck's apologists and Thaksin supporters, they are the ones who are being irresponsible. Progressive red shirts, on the other hand, are sitting back to watch events. And I'm getting all sorts of reports here on the internet of the UDD saying the most absurd things. Jataporn Prompans, so he said that supporters of the UDD nationwide should come out to fight against the rumoured coup. He described it as the last war. I mean, that's absurd. He's beginning to sound like Gaddafi. And then there was another report here of rumours of troop movement, 67 colonels being shifted around, which indicates some sort of attempt to mount a coup. And then there's another rumour being put around by the UDD, probably, of a plot to abduct, to kidnap the Prime Minister, Yingluck Shinawatra. and detain her. And they even say where they're going to keep her. The 11th Infantry Regiment in the capital's Bangkok district. I mean, that's ridiculous. If you know where she's going to be kept and everything, then she's not really kidnapped, is she? If you know the location. I mean, all these type of silly rumours, this rhetoric, violent rhetoric, it's not helping the situation. I think it's only thanks to the cool head of progressive red shirts that the army hasn't overreacted. I think the UDD is completely irresponsible, and I think this present government is irresponsible too. I think they're dishonest and irresponsible because they've been in power now for almost a year. It'll be a year next month, and they haven't kept any of the promises on human rights, and everybody's ignoring that fact with all the damning reports coming from human rights organizations which show that prisoners are dying in prison, people are being made to disappear, and I just don't think that people should give their trust to this government quite so readily. I think Thai people need to be a little bit more cynical about what they're being told, and not give their support to a government and an organisation which quite obviously forgot about them very quickly once they had power. Doctor.
I think that's a very interesting observation about the fact that the UDD and the government being irresponsible. Well, you know, of course, responsible for the promise for the tasks that need to be done by them in order to solve the country's problems, in order to respond to the needs of the desires and what do we say? It's not really a promise, but it's some sort of the wants of the people, the red shirt people who supported the Pheu Thai party. You know, I would use the same word, irresponsible, and based on the rumor, I would use the word rumor, that I've heard that Yingluck has ordered the UDD leaders and also the chairman of the parliament not to pursue with the was that Sosoro Article 291, changing Article 91 in order to have a group of people to redraft the constitution. They want this to be ceased. That's what I've heard. Of course, it remains to be seen, because I think politics is a dynamic process. You know, they may change their mind, you know, as Thaksin seemed to have done like last week when he gave a speech at the Thunderdome. And before that, his speech was pretty much, you know, oh, come after me, let me do the stuff, believe me, don't resist and all that. But then, you know, at Thunderdome he said, well, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I was a fool. Now I won't be fooled anymore, I'm going to fight. You know?
Yeah, but Doctor, this has been a humiliating week for Yingluck's government. It's been a complete humiliation on the amnesty bill. Okay, and they're very quickly changing the topic here. They've moved on now to the charter changes, of course, because they've got an argument. They've got a fairly solid argument there. I mean, it's obvious that the Constitutional Court has acted illegally and beyond their scope. It's obvious. You only have to read, for example, I've done my research here. You only have to read, for example, the Constitution of Thailand, the 2007 Constitution, Chapter 10. The courts, Part 2, the Constitutional Court, Section 212. Let me read that to you. A person whose rights or liabilities recognised by this Constitution are violated has the right to file a motion to the court for a decision that a provision of law is contrary to or inconsistent with the Constitution. And here's the bit that I want to talk about. The right under paragraph 1 shall be exercisable in the case where all other means for the exercise thereof are exhausted, as provided in the Organic Act on the procedure of the Constitutional Court. In other words, those 5 people who went to the Constitutional Court to complain, okay, did not exhaust all other means. the Constitution makes it very clear. You have to exhaust all other means before you go to the Constitutional Court. They didn't do that. They went directly to the Constitutional Court. In other words, the Constitutional Court was wrong to halt this process. Because the people who were complaining, who were putting in a petition, did not go to other lower courts first. Okay, so under Chapter 10, Part 2, Section 212, the Constitutional Court is wrong. It is also wrong, and let me just find it here.
Okay.
It was Nitirat, the Nitirat gentleman who said it. He said it very clearly. I can't find it now, so I'm just going to. There it is. Warachet Pakidut said it very clearly. He said the Constitutional Court does not have the authority to accept the petition because the Constitution does not allow people to complain to the court about the actions of Parliament. It's completely true. This is what it says. The fact is that the chapter amendment legislation was undertaken. This is what he said. The fact is that the chapter amendment legislation was undertaken by Parliament as authorised by the Constitution, and Parliament is not regarded as a person or a political party. Absolutely true. Under Section 28, it talks about people, not Parliament. So, for that reason, the Constitutional Court's decision was wrong. The Constitutional Court is wrong on every count, because Article 68 says, of the Constitution says, where a person or political party acts under paragraph 1, the witness thereof has the right to report to the matter to the Prosecutor General to investigate the facts and to submit a request to the Constitutional Court, etc., etc. Now, what the Constitutional Court is saying is that the word "and" pertains to the person. But looking at the punctuation, there is no comma behind the word "facts." So, in fact, the word "and" belongs to the Prosecutor General, because if the Constitutional Court was right, there would be a full stop. It would say something like this: where a person or political party acts under paragraph 1, the witness thereof has the right to report the matter to the Prosecutor General to investigate the fact. Stop. The person or political party also has the right to submit a request to the Constitutional Court. Okay? That's the difference.
Right.
That's the difference. So the Constitutional Court is interpreting this paragraph as meaning that the person has the right to submit a request to the Constitutional Court. But in fact, what the article says, because of the punctuation, is that the Prosecutor General has that right, and not any individual. So the Constitutional Court is wrong on all three counts. Section 68 very clearly says that nobody has that authority. That authority only comes from the Prosecutor General. They are wrong on Section 212 of the Constitution, Chapter 10, and they are wrong for the same reasons that Nitirat has said, which is Warachet has made it very clear that the Parliament is not a person. So it's three different reasons why the Constitutional Court is wrong. Okay, so the government is right on this issue, but they're trying to skip very quickly and pretend that somehow the reconciliation bill has been stopped in its tracks by the Constitutional Court, and that is not true. They themselves have abandoned the idea of pushing this law through Parliament, and it's a humiliating defeat for them. But they finally admitted that it's not going to work. What the Constitutional Court has stopped is the charter change, because the government has not revealed what changes it intends to make. I mean, the government could be making any changes that, as the Constitutional Court quite rightly says, could affect the character of the regime in Thailand. It's true. For example, they could change the part of the Constitution which says that ordinary people cannot introduce a law which affects the monarchy, so that they could change lèse majesty law. I personally would be delighted if that's what the government were doing, but of course it is unconstitutional, probably. And there are many other sections which they could change, which will also affect Thailand's regime. Doctor.
Actually, yes, thank you, Ajahn Emilio. Actually, the Pheu Thai Party made it really clear that all the changes to be made would be possible unless they touched upon issues related to the articles associated with the power of the monarchy. So
they didn't publish that. They said it, but they haven't shown what changes they intend to make. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it? Do you know exactly what changes, which sections they're going to change? No.
Actually, no. They cannot say which articles to be changed, which not to be changed.
Why? Because people have a right to know how the government is going to change their charter.
Yes.
They have a right to know.
I think we haven't seen the official proposals, but I followed the discussions in the parliament. They did emphasize even before the process that they would not touch the articles related to the monarchy. They did say that. Now, of course, we have to see the official proposal that will be submitted eventually. They did make that very clear. But the sad thing is this, Ajahn Emilio, it's not about them not finding legitimate reason to push this forward. I think eventually they have all the rights because they announced as one of their policies to create this social law, the Constitution Drafting Committee. They said that and they made a promise. Now, if they fail to do that for whatever reason, then it will be wrong for them, right? I mean, the people can be upset about it. But the thing is this, what I've been hearing is this. Actually, the government, the Yingluck government, is not willing to push this forward. Even if they have a legitimate reason to push forward, or even if they successfully fight off the sanction by was that Constitution Court, they would not do it. They would not, because it has been decided that they would not pursue this.
Doctor, didn't you read what Yingluck Shinawatra said in Thai Visa today? She said, I haven't seen the reconciliation bills, but I believe every bill will benefit all groups of people. I mean, how dishonest can you be? I mean, how can somebody who hasn't even seen these bills be supporting the bills?
Yeah.
I just don't understand how the Prime Minister can say.
Yingluck is so shallow.
I mean, how can she say that she hasn't even seen the bills and then say that she believes that these bills will benefit everybody? And she herself has practically made it clear that less Majesty prisoners are not going to be given an amnesty, they're going to stay in prison.
Yes. I mean, Yingluck has really lost a lot of my respect. Really, I mean, I did not have much on her. I mean, she hadn't proven much before coming into the position. But based on her performances lately, I think, and based on the rumor I have received recently, I don't think this lady is really being honest to the people. And in fact, I don't even think that she has been along the same side with revolutionary red shirts. No.
Oh, it's obvious. She's been receiving royal awards and rubbing shoulders with the elite. And she herself is undermining these bills. She herself is undermining the red shirts who want to push through these bills. I think she's batting for the other side, quite honestly.
Right.
And Jataporn is just hysterical. Foghorn Jataporn today said he said that the 7 judges are very dangerous snakes. What kind of language is that? What kind of language is that to you?
Well, you know what?
Snakes.
The UDD leaders receive orders from from Thaksin and Yingluck, and everything they do is based upon the policy by the Pheu Thai Party, and you know that. They manage to go to places and have huge stage and everything. That's all money. Every time they meet, we are talking about million of baht, and of course they don't pay from out of their own pockets.
No, they don't. They pay it from taxpayers' money. I just think Thai people need to open their eyes. Red shirts need to open their eyes and see that they're being used. They're being led by the nose by these people. who use them as a political bat. And when they finally win and get what they want, get power, etc., they forget about them. They forget the promises that they made. And now is the time to remind people of this. And it's not being a traitor or anything. It's saying the truth. People will see that the same pattern will repeat itself. I think Red Shirt should be much more questioning about the intentions of the government and the UDD, because I don't think they've got their best interests at heart, to be honest with you, Doctor.
Wow, อาจารย์อมิโรด คุณจอห์น please come in after this. คุณจอห์น คุณเหมยฟ้า actually agrees with you. She says Prime Minister Yingluck is not a Prime Minister for the people. She is a good Prime Minister for the majority of the elite.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, she's not. I'm glad that Wi-Fi agrees with me. Finally, I thought she was going to beat me up. But I think you have to say these things, and the problem in Thailand is that everybody wants to say the right thing to be popular, and that's not the right way to do things. I think unpopular things need to be said too. Otherwise, we become hypocrites. I think that government has mismanaged this whole reconciliation bill business right from the start, and I think that they themselves have provoked this situation. Even though I agree that the PAD are criminal thugs, that they should have all been put in prison, and that the Democrat Party too have clearly shown themselves to be anti-democratic thugs too. But I think that the government, rather than trying to stir things up so that more people get hurt, they should just go away, lick their wounds, and rethink their tactics. That would be the more dignified thing to do. And I think Yingluck is ready to do that now, but there are still elements within her government and within the UDD who are determined to keep going and make something big out of this when there really isn't anything. I'm confident that the government can win the case against the Constitutional Court. They haven't got a leg to stand on. These judges will be impeached pretty soon. They've misinterpreted the law deliberately, in my opinion, and they've deliberately sabotaged the workings of Parliament. And the government should go down that road rather than trying to rattle their sabre and beat war drums, because that only wakes up the army, who are currently sleeping quietly with their teddy bears in their barracks, and that's where we want them.
อาจารย์เมโล before คุณจอห์น comes in, I'm afraid things in Thailand may be a little more tricky than we can normally expect, from other countries. In this case, the UDD are trying to push forward at first, because it's kind of the two camps are trying to show off their power, and so that they can negotiate further. But once the negotiation works, is that the elites, the royalists, do not want the constitution to be redrafted. That is, and then they want it to remain where it is right now. That means the royal families will not be touched. Nothing will be changed. The military, the judicial systems, the independent agencies will not be abolished or touched. So things remain the same, where they are. Now, the Yingluck Shinawatra could be in power for as long as she wants, at least, until, she finished her first term. And if this works out...
Sorry, can I interrupt you, Doctor? I'm very rude, but...
Go ahead.
Hang on. Thank you. Even if Yingluck manages to change the charter, and she manages to push through these bills, even if that happened, it would not benefit those political prisoners who are still in prison. It would not change 112 or the Computer Crime Act in any way.
And it would not push the country forward either, the way I see it, because even if it would go through, she would compromise with all the agencies, all the parties that are against democracy. Yeah.
Exactly. So what's the point of supporting? What's the point of supporting the government if they're not going to do what the red shirts are asking them to do? Those political prisoners who are currently in prison in appalling conditions are still there. Yingluck hasn't conceded anything on that, and like you said, she's not going to change lèse majesty law. She's going to sit on Nitidat's proposal, because in fact Nitidat can't put a proposal to government. Nobody's allowed to introduce laws which affect the monarchy. That's what Yingluck is going to argue. That's in the constitution too. The government could change the criminal code and abolish the Computer Crime Act by itself. But of course, guess what would happen? I'll tell you. The Constitutional Court would say that it was illegal. So the Constitutional Court is always going to meddle with government decisions. And that's how it is. That's how it is. This government is not revealing what it intends to do, what changes it intends to make to the Charter. But it's suggesting that everybody's going to benefit, and that's an outright lie. I'm sorry. It's not going to benefit all groups of people. It's not going to benefit lèse majesty prisoners. No way. They're going to stay in prison whatever happens. So progressive red shirts who believe that this law should be abolished and who believe that prisoners should be released have no reason to support this government, and there's no reason to listen to Jasiporn's hysterical rhetoric.
Kun John, what do you think?
Well, I agree with Ajahn Emilio. That's a good point. Why should we support this government? But I guess this time the progressive red shirt doesn't have a leader, doesn't have power enough to do anything to put forward. I guess we have to rely on the UDD.
Yeah, but forgive me, John, forgive me. The red shirts have the power. We've demonstrated it all, because if the government falls and there is a general election, progressive red shirts need to organise themselves to stand as independent candidates in Parliament. In my estimation, progressive red shirts could win as independent candidates, putting forward their own deposit money. They could probably even win 100 seats in Parliament, with the level of popularity and the right promotion and publicity. This an election would probably produce a hung parliament. Yingluck would probably get, well, maybe not Yingluck, somebody else. The Pertai party would probably get back in again if the government falls and there is an election. They would get back in again, but they wouldn't have an overall majority, which is what they have now. But progressive red shirts would probably have enough MPs to influence Parliament in some way. I have absolutely no doubt about that. With the present mood of red shirts, it's not even necessary to form a party. If you can get maybe 60, 70 independent MPs sitting in the House together as a group, and then maybe even form a parliamentary group, that is real political power. So saying that they can't do anything and that they depend on the UDD for everything is not true. Progressive red shirts can do it for themselves.
I heard about everything need money too. The UDD have back support. The progressive red shirt can even to come out and rally in the big numbers.
Well, I mean, how much is it to stand in an election? What's the deposit? What's the price of the deposit? If somebody's dedicated and willing to invest that money themselves, you don't really need a central fund to do that. You can stand as an independent candidate. Many people do it. Yolanda Swansov did it recently. She stood as an independent, paid for her own deposit, and hey, she was elected. Okay, it was a regional seat, but it could easily have been a parliamentary seat. I think that red shirts need to open their eyes and see that they do have power. All they have to do is take it. They have the support, and they have the base, and it's not even necessary to form a party as independent candidates. They could form a big enough group within Parliament to influence things from the inside rather than depending on the UDD for everything.
Yeah, hopefully it happens in the future. And right now, the situation turns this way. We kind of it's crucial. We kind of wait to see what's coming up. Are we gonna be able to push forward to draft the constitution? If not, what's gonna happen? Confusion now. That's how I see. Actually.
The government has the right to change the constitution, and the constitution needs to be changed because the present one is a military-introduced constitution. Okay.
But the current government will not do that. Yeah.
But I think there needs to be more information. I think the government needs to say, just not to calm the situation down. They need to say exactly what changes they're going to make to the constitution and what possible benefits there will be for this. And they're trying to do this in secret. And they're trying to push it through government because they've got a majority. And this is creating the problems. And I think in a democratic country, you should have openness and you should give people the information. What's the problem? Why can't the government tell people which articles in the constitution they're going to change? What's the problem there? It would alleviate the situation and make it clear to everybody, and it wouldn't be necessary for the Constitutional Court to intervene in the illegal way that they have been doing. There's obviously some panic in the elite camp. They don't trust Parliament, and this is why they're undermining democracy.
Ajahn Emilio, there's a piece of information I would like to share here. The government cannot say exactly which article it wants changed, because probably it has an obligation to state upfront. Like, for example, they have done that in saying that they would not touch any articles concerning the royal families and the monarch. Now, but
sorry, I didn't understand what you meant.
Okay, what I mean is this. What I mean is this.
Why can't the government say which articles they want to change? Could you repeat that, please?
Okay, they cannot, because actually in their policy, in their proposal before they became the government, and based on the policy announced in the parliament, they say they would want they plan to have the Constitution Drafting Committee established, and then it depends on this group to decide, because they represent the people of the country as much as the current government does. So this social law group, Constitution Drafting Committee, has equal rights, really, and privileges and power to really do the stuff they do. If the government says, okay, you only change this and that, then that means the government dictates the social law group. You know what I mean?
Understand. So the Constitutional Court is blocking the creation of this committee. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay. Well, who is going to be on the committee exactly?
They will be elected, and they are discussing details about how to go about about the election, about how each province would be represented and all that, and that's all. Yeah. I mean, that's all they are talking about right now.
That doesn't sound illegal to me. That sounds that sounds perfectly constitutional and legal.
Right.
Like I said before, I don't know why the Constitutional Court has suddenly intervened in this way, in almost in a blind panic. I think that the judges need to explain themselves, because an elected parliament has the right to pass its own laws and to establish its own committees to look into things. And there's nothing illegal about that. And anyway, if the committee recommends something which they don't agree with, I'm sure that there is a mechanism there for them to intervene. Right. It's very strange that the Constitutional Court should intervene in this way and stop the whole process.
Well, you know, if
very strange way.
yeah, if you read it, and Thailand is strange. I mean, what you see and what actually is the case may not be the same. I mean, it's just like that. We call Thailand Tole land, you know. And as I mentioned the other day, yeah, in this case, you know, if you look at the bigger picture, people want change to the entire system. Okay, they want the monarchy out of the constitution. They want the monarchy to be under the laws, right? But then, on the other hand, on the other side, you would have these royalists, and of course, the government, the current government, is being sucked into that group in order to fight against the movement to change the country. You know what I mean? So that's why you see that the court comes out this early. At first, they said they were against what they are in response to the request by people about the reconciliation, the unity bill. But now, you know, they're also talking about the Article 291 amendment, which is being talked about right now, and it's the third session, which is going to really finalize and say whether the Constitution drafting committee can be legally established, and then the country will be moved forward with the redrafting of the Constitution. I mean, the thing is, all the efforts are being made in order to stop the country from changing, especially when it involves the monarchy, you know.
But that's because there's no consensus. There's never been any consensus on this. The government has found a solution, and a solution that they think is going to move the country forward, but they're going to leave behind everybody else, and there's no consensus on this. I think they've jumped the gun. Before you get to the stage where you find solutions and you rewrite the laws, etc., you've got to agree what it is that needs to be changed, and there's never been a dialogue, there's never been a debate, and there's never been justice for people. All that Yingluck has done is to hand out public money like sweets, and give the monarchy a bit of land, and then try to rewrite the laws saying that this will help the country move forward. But I don't think she's done it the right way, and I think Thaksin is beginning to realise that too. I think everybody's beginning to realise that this isn't going to work.
You know,
John, please.
I want to cut in again. What they tried to do, they thought that being friendly, be nice to the monarchy is going to help them stay in the power for a while until they actually prove themselves that they can improve the economy and something, and to get popularity back. But now, when the monarchy doesn't work with them, doesn't okay to go with reconciliation, I think now they know that they can go through that channel. So that's why they come back to understand the progressive red shirt. That's what I thought. You know, I may be wrong, but if Thaksin realized that what he had been trying to do the best through conciliation is not work, now he can come back and start with actually what people want to change the whole thing, you know, to change the constitution, to demolish monarchy or whatever. And that's what I see. I don't know that you see the same Ajahn Emilio.
Could you just repeat that for me, please?
What I'm trying to say is, right now, Thaksin with this Yingluck government, they realize that they cannot play the game with the monarchy, and hopefully they will go along with this, to allow them to be governed for some time. And now the Thaksin, want to come back to be with the progressive leader to go ahead. Let's fight. Let's fight the way the progressive leader would want to be. That's the best I can explain. And that's why I'm looking at UDD, Thaksin, and Yingluck. They probably more come our way the way we want. But I know you're suspicious that they may not honest. They may fight for the way, or they probably not, with the progressive one.
Well, I see no progressive tendencies in the present government, in the UDD leadership, in the top echelons of the UDD. Among ordinary red shirts, I see a lot of progressive ideas there. But are people surprised that we don't trust them? Look at the way they broke all their promises. Of course we don't trust them. They broke every single promise that they made. They promised to set up a committee to look into 112. They didn't do it. They refused point blank to do that. Why should people trust them after that? Look at their human rights record. In fact, Ampong was sentenced to 20 years. Even under the very worst of Abhisit's regime, in the darkest days of Abhisit's regime, nobody was sentenced to 20 years. And look what happened. The poor man died in prison. Of course we don't trust the Yingluck government.
I can understand that.
Of course not. And now they're asking people to come out onto the streets and to die for Yingluck and let's go for the snakes. No. Nobody's going to go for that anymore. Nobody's going to fall for that trick anymore. The government will have to sort out its own mess, and they'll probably lose face in the process. But we told them right from the beginning that the way that they were approaching the reconciliation process was wrong, that they were making mistakes, that they hadn't listened to everybody. Now hopefully they'll realise their mistake, and they've still got time to put it right. They've still got time to sit at the table and speak to everybody, and hopefully do it the right way, because it's obvious that this isn't going to work. I think even Thaksin was surprised when the PAD gangsters suddenly appeared in Parliament. He was surprised. He was caught on the hop because he believed that they had been sweetened and that they wouldn't challenge the government. But it's obvious you can't deal with these people. They're criminals. And there has to be debate and agreement before they try to do anything. Otherwise it will end in failure again. John?
Right. Someone should ask the leader of UDD, and why should we believe you and follow you this time, and what's going to happen later on? Are you going to look at those who are in jail or those who be killed? All of this question, we should ask him also,
You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, think about it, John. We're still waiting for justice for the 91 people who died 2 years ago. Why should more people die? So that they will not get justice either? I mean, when Jathaporn goes on and on about, let's get the snakes, let's go out into there's going to be a coup, he doesn't realise that what he's doing is provoking a situation where people could die. And that's not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. Everything has to be done legally and through Parliament in a democratic way, because Thailand is a democratic country. And
are you serious?
Sorry?
Are you serious? Thailand is a democratic country.
Well, the democratic process is there, but of course it's always a dead end. You always come to a dead end. It's true. You've got to play ball, even if the rules are against you. You've still got to play. What needs to be pulled here is a miracle. What Thailand needs is a miracle, and I still believe that even when the rules are against you, if you're an extraordinary and you believe in yourself and you believe in the people of Thailand, you can pull out a miracle. But unfortunately, Yingluck is not a believer. She thinks that by sucking up to the royalists and going along with them, that's the right way of doing it, and it's not.
Wow, very well said, Ajahn Emilio. The last 2 or 3 sentences you said. Thailand needs a miracle, and miracles lie in the people's power. Unfortunately, Yingluck doesn't believe in that. So, well said, very well said. We have come to like 2 hours and 35 minutes at this point in time. So, what do you think? Do you have something to add? Something you haven't talked about, and you would really like to add here, Ajahn Emilio?
Yeah, I think people have got to be honest with themselves and with each other, even if that means treading on people's toes. And I'd like to think that that's what I've done today. And I'm sorry if I've upset anybody, but hey, I'm not looking to be popular anyway. I think we've got to be honest with each other and say the truth and get people to open their eyes. That's all.
Thank you very much. Kun John, would you like to say something before we end the program?
Okay. Well, Ajahn Emilio, nobody gonna upset about you. What you say is something need to hear. I begin more see how you think. I understand, appreciate. You know, we should look at this to question the UDD leaders. Whether what they're something gonna happen the same when we get to the fighting with the government. Are they gonna give up and let the people die again? Something like that, you know. And I think to cover everything to be clear, and that's all I have to say this time. And let's go ahead and let's continue.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pinette, and I agree with you. Ajahn Emilio, you don't have to be worried about people being upset. I mean, all sensible Thais would find your remarks, totally agreeable, and I think also very, very useful as well, helpful as well. So, thank you all for this. Thank you, Lily. Thanks to Pisu, and Pijon and Ajahn Emilio. We'll come back and have this kind of interesting discussions on hot topics again next Saturday, 9 p.m. Thailand time. And today, all of us, thank you all out there who are listening to us and who will be spreading our clips. And remember that we have our clips all available via YouTube as well. You can find that link through the front page of the university, tprud.org. All of us, we need to sign off now. Thank you for listening, and see you again next Saturday. Goodbye, everyone.
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ